Hi Shubham, my name is Ellen and I'll be correcting this essay for you today. Let's take a look at what you have submitted to us. This is the one about prisoners becoming good citizens and advising young people about crime. Let's see what you had to say about this. Presumably, the criminals who have served their prison, careful with the typing, you did this now twice. You did it here and then you also did it here. It's prison without that I, okay? So presumably, the criminals who have served their prison sentences and have been released are considered socializable. Some experts with years of experience in crime prevention are convinced that such offenders are the people best suitable to take sessions of the juveniles, explaining them the severe consequences of organizing and executing an unlawful activity. I stand with those who consider this an ill practice. This essay will discuss reasons that such outlaws are not suitable to socialize and advise the youngsters, followed by a conclusion. Okay, so I really liked your organization of this introduction. I thought you included information that was good. So the overall message of this was very nice. I liked it. But there are some problems both with grammar and with lexical resource that we need to just fix them a little bit so that we can make this a really a wow introduction, okay? An introduction that will impress your examiner. You want it to be a solid, well-written, accurate introduction because this is the examiner's first impression of your writing. So it's really in your best interest to make sure that it's accurate and as accurate as possible. So the first thing that I would change here is I wouldn't start with the word presumably. It doesn't really fit as an opening for your introduction. So I would get rid of that completely. If you want to have like a general sort of statement, you could have said that it is widely stated, and that would have been okay, all right? So why don't we do that instead? And also, I want you to take a look at my computer, or rather the program, underline some words, and these are some of the mistakes that I want to talk about as well, okay? So, it is often stated that criminals who have served their prison sentences and have been released are considered, I don't really know. I mean, I don't believe that socializable is a word. I think you really want to say are considered capable of reintegrating society. I think you mean something like this here. Okay? I know it's a little wordier than what you have, and it would be nice if there was one word that would fit this, but I don't believe there is. So I would have preferred an expression here. Okay, so some experts with years of experience in crime prevention are convinced that such offenders are the people most suitable, we don't say best suitable, are the people most suitable to, this was awkward here, to, let's see, maybe to have sessions with juveniles explaining to them the severe consequences of organizing and executing an unlawful activity. I stand with those who consider this an ill practice. This essay will discuss reasons that such, I didn't really care for the word outlaws. It feels a little outdated. Maybe you could have said ex-convicts, former prisoners, ex-prisoners, any one of those would have been okay. Are not suitable to socialize with and advise. Now here you need the verb form, which is spelled with an S. The youngsters, followed by conclusion. And then it's fine. Okay, so let's move on. Careful with this opening expression. To commence with is rather unnatural, so let's get rid of it. Also, a quick look shows you've begun your second body paragraph with the word secondly. So when you do that, it's implied that there's a firstly somewhere. So why don't we get rid of this to commence with and instead write firstly. Okay, so firstly, criminal behavior is a mindset which is extremely difficult to counsel. Not only not only does the majority of their thinking come from their subconscious criminal minds, but their actions are also visibly unsuitable for society. Okay, without the. Now, what did I do? You started the sentence with not only, and that requires a specific grammatical phenomenon called inversion. And what happens is after not only, the sentence needs to follow question form, okay? Which is why I put that does. So not only does the majority of their thinking come from their subconscious criminal minds, but their actions are also visibly unsuitable for society. Okay. Another significant matter to consider is that despite getting rehabilitation in the prison and being, you're missing a word there, released, considering them harmless is a tough judgment to make. For instance, since it is difficult to fill the gap of development happened, maybe which occurred would have been better, which occurred in the outside world during the sentence terms, they will not be able to earn their bread and butter and can commit a crime again to fulfill their needs. Okay, so that's fine. It's a little too idiomatic in order to be considered an academic style, like earn their bread and butter. I understand you're trying to show a range of vocabulary, and that's great. But some of these idiomatic expressions are really best left to, say, for example, an informal letter, and not so much for this type of a task, okay? You could say instead, they will not be able to earn their livelihood. That would have been a nice word, which would have also been more appropriate in this context. So I thought this was okay, but you didn't link it to how they are definitely not the best people. So great, you're telling us, that they're not suitable for society. You're telling us that they could, they're not harmless, and that, they might return to crime. So what's the point? Why are you telling us this? You need to link it back to what the task is about. So link it back to this idea. Therefore, it is clear that these former prisoners may not be the most appropriate people or the best people to talk to youngsters about crime because they are because their reintegration into society is questionable. All right, so really just like a conclusion about the main idea of that paragraph. That's what's missing for me here, okay? All right, so secondly, if the offenders are allowed to provide guidance to the juveniles, it would be extremely detrimental to the social well-being of young people. Explaining further, the teenagers are at a stage of life with maximum learning strength. However, they are easy to lead astray. Furthermore, the youngsters with improper upbringing are prone to misguidance. Upbringing from whom? Their parents? Those who have already chosen the path of crime can contact such offenders and secretly get themselves trained in plotting and executing criminal activities. Again, thus, this measure may in fact promote or encourage criminal activity rather than discourage it. Okay, so that's what's missing. Bring it back to this idea, okay, about why they're not the best people. Okay, so to conclude, it would be massively disastrous. All right, now this is a little superfluous here, okay? Disastrous is really a very strong word on its own, so you don't need massively. So to conclude, it would be disastrous to deploy ex-criminals for providing guidance, rather to provide guidance to a young generation on account of the fact that they may mislead these young minds who are the future of our country. The consequences can be catastrophic. Okay, so I thought this was good. I thought you had some nice elements for sure here. You had the right kind of paragraph structure for the most part. You did need to link it back to the task a little more tightly rather than yeah, that's the best way I can say it. You need to link it back to, this idea of, well, why am I telling you all of this? The takeaway is this. Therefore, this needs to happen. Or thus, this is what I'm saying. So you need to link it back, bring it back to the question that you are being asked. And that will really help solidify a higher band score for task achievement, okay? There were little things with grammar, little things with vocabulary. Some of the vocabulary, as I already said, was a little unnatural. Sometimes simplicity, believe it or not, is preferred because many times it just feels more natural than some of these other vocabulary words. Like, for example, we talked about the word outlaws, okay, which didn't really feel particularly natural. But a lot of it was good. Again, things like massively disastrous, not really natural. You wouldn't say it because disastrous is already an absolute kind of word, okay? So I do see some good elements of your writing. I just think with a little bit of guidance, a little bit of feedback, you would do well. So when you get this correction, there'll be an email with links on how you can continue working with us. If you found this feedback helpful, definitely take a look at them. I know that we all would be very happy to work with you and help you achieve your IELTS goals. So take a look and see which option works for you best. And I look forward to working with you. So best of luck to you.